In this episode of FTD Facts, it will feature 10 various circumstances, events, and beliefs about Jesus in the religion of Islam. Welcome back, guys, to FTD Facts. My name is Leroy Kenton, and we have another exciting, fascinating episode diving and exploring the religion of Islam for you guys. So many of you are still asking for more videos about prophets in Islam, so this is another episode in that series. Let's look at 10 ways how Jesus is portrayed in the religion of Islam. So starting at number 10, we have the mentions in the Quran. Now, the significance of Jesus in Islam is really reflected in his being mentioned in the Quran in 93 different verses with various titles like Son of Mary, as well as other terms related to him. He's mentioned directly and indirectly over 187 times. He's one of the most mentioned people in the Quran, specifically by reference 25 times by name Isa. He's mentioned in the third person 48 times, as well as in the first person 35 times, and the rest as titles and different attributes. Number 9, he's also portrayed as not the Son of God. The Quran denies that Jesus is the Son of God in several verses, including one in Surah 5 verses 116, quoting Jesus as denying he is the Son of God. And it says, "And beware the day when Allah will say, 'O Jesus, son of Mary, did you say to the people, take me and my mother as deities besides Allah?' He will say, 'Exalted are you. It was not for me to say that to which I have no right. If I had said it, you would have known it. You know what is within myself. I do not know what is within yourself. Indeed, it is you who is the knower of the unseen." At number 8, Jesus is also considered a Muslim in the religion of Islam. So, like all prophets in Islam, Jesus is called a Muslim as he preached that his followers should adopt the straight path, and also he had the teaching that there's only one God. In Islamic eschatology, which is like the end times, Jesus returns in a second coming to fight the Dajjal, or the false Messiah, and establish peace on the earth. Now let's talk about the virgin birth of Jesus at number 7. Now the account of Jesus' life begins with the narration several times in the Quran that first describes the birth of his mother Mary and her service in Jerusalem. And then the birth narrative in the Quran for Jesus begins in Surah 19 verses 16 to 34 and Surah 3 verses 45 to 53. Mary, of course, conceives and she is a virgin at the time of giving birth. Now for number 6, I did touch on this a little bit earlier, but the first and the earliest view of Jesus formulated in Islamic thought is that he is a prophet. He is a human being chosen by God to present both a judgment upon humanity for worshiping idols and a challenge to turn to the one true God. And the second early high image of Jesus is an end time figure. So this concept arises mostly in the Hadith, not necessarily from the Quran itself. By the Muslim tradition, it has a narrative very similar to one found in Christian theology, seeing Jesus arrive at the end time and descending upon the earth to fight against the Antichrist. So guys, we just saw 5 depictions of Jesus in Islam so far. We have 5 more to go, but before we get into those last 5, just a reminder to leave a like on this episode. It really helps out our videos. It helps more people see them, and it also just shows your support for our channel. So if you like what we do here on FTD Facts, always leave a thumbs up. And now if it's your first time here to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell if you don't want to miss any episodes like this. But we don't just do videos like this about religion. We also talk about the different countries, cultures, people from all around the world as well. So definitely this is a great way to get a holistic knowledge about a lot of different subjects, especially that you're chilling out at home in quarantine. All right, next up at number 5, we have Jesus speaking from the cradle. Jesus speaking from the cradle is mentioned in 3 places in the Quran. There's Surah 3 verses 45 to 46, and that says, "He said, 'My Lord, make for me a sign.' He said, 'Your sign is that you will not be able to speak to the people for 3 days except by gesture. And remember your Lord much and exalt him with praise in the evening and in the morning.' And mention when the angel said, 'O Mary, indeed Allah gives you good tidings of a word from him whose name will be the Messiah, Jesus, the son of Mary, distinguished in this world and the hereafter, and among those brought near to Allah. He will speak to the people in the cradle and in maturity, and will be of the righteous.'" Jesus is also depicted having food come down from heaven for the Last Supper. Now in the 5th surah of the Quran, there's a passage that says, And remember when the disciples said, "Oh Jesus, son of Mary, can your Lord send down to us a table spread with food from heaven?" Jesus said, "Fear Allah if you should be believers." They said, "We wish to eat from it and let our hearts be reassured and know that you have been truthful to us and be among its witnesses." Said Jesus, the son of Mary, "O Allah, our Lord, send down to us a table spread with food from the heaven to be for us a festival for the first of us and the last of us, and a sign from you, and provide for us, and you are the best of providers." Allah said, "Indeed, I will send it down to you, but whoever disbelieves afterwards from among you, then indeed will I punish him with a punishment by which I have not punished anyone among the worlds." Jesus is also depicted as having disciples. Now, we talked about this a little bit also, but the Quran states that Jesus was aided by a group of disciples who believed in his message. Now, while not naming the disciples, the Quran does give a few instances of Jesus preaching the message to them. As a matter of fact, in Surah 3 verses 52 and 53, it says, "But when Jesus felt persistent in disbelief from them, he said, 'Who are my supporters for the cause of Allah?' The disciples said, 'We are supporters for Allah. We have believed in Allah and testify that we are Muslims submitting to him. Our Lord, we have believed in what you revealed and have followed the messenger, Jesus. So register us among the witnesses to truth.'" And number 2, Jesus did not die. Most Islamic traditions, except a few, categorically deny that Jesus physically died either on the cross or in another way. Now in the Quran, Surah 3 verses 55, it says, "Mention when Allah said, 'O Jesus, indeed, I will take you and raise you to myself and purify you from those who disbelieve and make those who follow you in submission to Allah alone superior to those who disbelieve until the day of resurrection. Then to me is your return, and I will judge between you concerning that in which you used to defer." There are other passages, by the way, where Jesus is portrayed as not dying on the cross, but that was just one of them. Now, the final depiction that I want to mention in this episode about Jesus is that he is the precursor to the Prophet Muhammad. Muslims believe that Jesus was a precursor to the Prophet Muhammad and that he prophesied that Prophet Muhammad was actually going to come after him. This perspective is based on a verse from the Quran where Jesus speaks of a messenger to appear after him named Ahmed. Now, Islam usually associates Ahmed with Muhammad because both words derive from the HMD triconsonantal root, which refers to praiseworthiness. Alright guys, so that was a look at 10 ways Jesus was depicted in the religion of Islam. As always, leave your thoughts and comments down below. I want to know what you're thinking, if you have any additional insights, if you have any arguments against what was shared in this episode. Definitely sound off down below, joining on the conversation. We always love to learn from each other here on FTD Facts. Alright guys, so before I head out, I'll leave you with a recommended episode that's going to be at the end screen. So definitely check it out before you do anything else. You don't want to miss it. And with that said, I'm going to get out of here and I'll see you guys in the next episode.